Good morning. My name is Super Apostle Baksay. I'm Super Apostle of Supreme King Jesus Christ and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Saints. I'm Super Apostle Baksay, Super Apostle of Supreme King Jesus Christ. I'm in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Saints working project according and by the plan that I Super Apostle Baksay is the Church of Jesus Christ is working on. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ is supposed to be translated into the glory of Supreme Elohim and Supreme Yahweh and stand into highest heaven early about now or exceeding early like do. If you observe this glorious broadcast on the record, this record will see an amazing celestial light coming and then disappearing. That was my ascension into I7. And you may also join immediately to come out of your houses, at least the balcony or open window and expect the ascension into highest heaven. We believe that this is the time for ascension, and we believe that we shall propose to ascend right now. Any other belief we think is not correct. If we compare with Supreme King Jesus Christ, there is what Jesus was doing. It was setting a time when to ascend, and that's also one of the correct motions that we might apply. But Jesus also was stating that we shall like to do the same as Jesus or somewhat better as Jesus. So better than set a time to ascend is to expect that from now on we want to ascend. And this is what Isaac will do as Supreme Apostle, Supreme Jesus Christ. I'm actually also preparing a backup plan that each one shall have. That's why I propose that we might have a last will. Now, last will for us is in New Testament as Jesus Christ was writing, and also upon the platform of the perfection of Jesus Christ, we perfect as Supreme Elohim and Supreme Yahweh in highest heaven and perfect. So we're proposing that we might have as a perfection of New Testament. So in New Testament we can mention our own personal last will. We can address someone, so maybe neighbors and friends, or family, neighbors and friends, and we can say that we have chosen for ourselves to follow Supreme Elohim, Supreme Yahweh into highest heaven, that we're expecting now to ascend. Therefore, as soon as it is evident that we was ascending, the proposal of the Lord will be distributed. For instance, my mother was a Relief Society member, so my belongings to be distributed to Relief Society. And Relief Society can use the belongings for any of the items that or credits that was left for instance, sustaining or bringing relief to priesthood holders in the Church of Jesus Christ. That may be one of the options for last will. We also supposed to challenge or invite all those that are reading the New Testament or the last will after our ascension to desire also to believe in Jesus Christ and in the name of Jesus Christ to ask to be forgiven, to have forgiveness. And as soon as they will be forgiven, they might do the will of God, or they might do the will of God according to their best knowledge of what they think that the will of God is, until they will finally also ascend to the highest heaven. Now, who is eligible to ascend is any human being. We can read in Old Testament about the words that was spoken to Adam westward from Garden of Eden, and maybe also in the Garden of Eden, where consequently was then having some changes regarding the tree of life and access to the tree of life that we all shall partake of. Now, regardless of anything, I mean, if whosoever is American citizen or any other country will say anything else is wrong, we shall partake. And if we feel that it's almost impossible, that the position is too great, So we need to therefore ask God, the eternal Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, for forgiveness, and we shall continue therefore in the name of Jesus Christ, eventually by the authority of the name of Jesus Christ, we shall continue to partake of the fruit of the life. In those times of Garden of Eden, we maybe mentioned the last will and health guide for all of the works of sin as our first parents is that we are children of God, we are posterity of celestial parents that was pursuing the order of wisdom of God and was command to love God first with all the heart, mind, and strength. And this is approximately the complete last will as we can that we shall love our God with all our heart, mind, and strength. Therefore, we are over and we can ascend to highest heaven. And yes, additional information to the last will. We can also include in the last will the order of food and drink, as Adam and Eve in Garden of Eden. I mean, first he westward from Garden of Eden, then in the Garden of Eden, and then when they went after um, the cherubims and flame sword was placed. So we actually, as we mentioned, we shall always ask to be forgiven, so it might be easy for us to access the tree and without ceasing, and we shall have helpers that helps us. We actually love to visit one another. So to love God first with all our heart and strength, to desire to return to highest heaven, that's the first and the greatest commandment law. And then comes the second, that is like unto the first. And then that is that we shall love our neighbors ourselves. So we made in a marriage that we have weddings and marriages, and that's what we really like to have continuously weddings and marriages. We have the option to set up the order of food and drink and attachment in the Garden of Eden. And we have that option to, in a wedding and marriage, um, to prepare also the table that on the front. Now, the males shall mainly propose that they are presiding and providing. The females shall actually sustain their husbands in their duty of presiding and providing. This is deducted from the revolution that was given approximately in 1995 to Gordon Whitmer Hinckley and was summarized as family proclamation in the world and was President Gordon Hinckley was leading this family proclamation vote in 1995 to General Relief Society meeting at Relief Society Sisters. We actually was experiencing changes regarding the first presidency since Gordon Hinckley was presiding and was accomplishing such a valuable document. But returning rather to Jesus Christ, he actually was ascended to heaven. So if he was heaven enough, yeah, it was only for some hours, like 29 hours or so. And we would like to have that quality and even greater quality. So we would like to be delivered from wrong teachings of, for instance, Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, and John Taylor. There might be good platform to for research of language and phraseology. Eventually, we might get friendships with those that are survivors of this day reigning of those Brigham Young and John Taylor. And I'll go to Woodruff, I'll go into Snow, and to F. Smith, and the other Wild West, and then governing West governors. So we actually now would like to do much better this time, especially Herbert Grant and George Albert Smith will meet with George Smith and will explain what was actually happening after Brigham Young North against South contentions at the East. North was contending with the South at the East, and Thomas Brigham Young was far west, western from the Colorado, western from the Great Passage Mountain, one time of the Rocky Mountains, of the Cordilleras of North America. So as Gorman was him to find as Brigham Young was hiding himself, it was I think coming the Wild West more from east and then again from west. And so that how Brigham Young was governing. So we would like to study Brigham Young University We would like to rename Brigham University to name it Jesus Christ Ivo Baksay University. That will be much better. But until then, we would like to start a Brigham University. We would like to be in university presidency with President Kevin J. Worthen. We was following about the matter. We was sending messages. We would like to be in presidency. We realized the presidency doesn't exist at this time, but it is only President Kevin J. Worthen. They um, the DAS at the moment, the only presiding officer on the private authority. We have Chairperson Gordon Franklin, pardon, Thomas Wintermont is not Chairperson over. So we would like to repent from the criminality. We was discovering many criminal connections that these primary children as they are grown up continuing in after the example of those criminal activities that John Smith and Brigham Young was continuing. Joseph that was with Malaysia and Brigham that was Wild West and then obedience to some prophet that was not necessary to obey. What is necessary for us is to think of charity, that we can choose those herbs to eat and to drink that are pleasing to the sight of God and good food in the sight of God, of Subhanahu freely is a promise. So that's how we shall be as judges of each other, that if it is freely, if it is not only herbs or if we are reading Revelation of John with those orders of food there, and there shall be some payment for any food that are also herbal. So we maybe meant that not every herb is good for food and pleasing to the sight of God, good food with God. Therefore, we shall help one another to be perfect. We shall be one another keepers in their best way, as Jesus Christ is high as heaven is. And we should also believe with God that Jesus Christ will be acceptable. We can imagine that Jesus, even they are all are same, and that He's holy, and 2,300 million of followers of Jesus. Um, but we need to understand that He was growing the Jewish system, influenced by Roman emperors. So therefore, we're supposed to strive some more of equality. We know that Jesus Christ was having a house, maybe several houses, as He was having birth in Nazareth. They was expecting here, and He was having houses, pretty nicely quarters by the carpenter master of carpentry, as Joseph, the father-in-law of Jesus, was a master in carpentry. Mary was also a very honored woman, was famous as the most beautiful among all virgins. So in Mary, all women are virgins, regardless of anything, except mothers, that's different. But if they are not yet mothers, they are virgins anyway, because Mary is mother of, Mary is the most beautiful of all virgins. That's what we can have in the future. The presence of God, so we might have our own spirits also from those work of families, that work of things, and that we might have them among the disciples of Jesus Christ mainly, or at least posterity of Enoch, that was very famous that he ascended to heaven and is the father of all mankind, on the lineage of Noah and on the lineage of the Lamech. So we actually proposing that we might have some more equality to know that Jesus was, by the order that was from heaven, was very iniquitous person, and he was in such a scare of the iniquity that he was in, that he was, as Jesus Christ, as the Holy One of Israel, then absolutely escaping from home. And those his neighbors of Nazareth were so scared of that iniquity of Jesus, that he was really iniquitous person, that they was about to stone him, not because he was Jesus. They was just pretending like if they was about to stone him, but was meeting Jesus to fast their midst and to be saved. Actually, after the fasting, Jesus was accomplishing great fasting as the Holy One of Israel, and went to Nazareth and was announced to himself as very valuable and most valuable Savior and Redeemer of Israel. So Isaac of Baksay was supposed to recognized as Shiloh, as the one that was accepting the name of Christ upon him most correctly, and will repent from criminality of the governors on this land earth, as there is quite a lot of criminality that is still done, and we would like to have international courts of justice and United Nations to calm all of governors that are so crazy to preside, but are still in presidency, military presidencies, if this is a model or if it is any European reality or if it is any island or realities or any other government. They're part of crazy preside and are presiding in military settings still. So we need to get them repent, we can get calm, and that's what international court of justice can do. International Court of Justice and the United Nations, they are also guilty of all the criminality that has been done, and some was small criminality, like a petty criminality, some was great criminalities, like destroying destiny of individuals and families, consisting of maybe 10 or 20 people. And then there was also great criminalities, there was whole neighborhoods attacked. Um, Remember last year was in Ukraine, there was reportedly millions of people injured by some inappropriate manipulation with fire guns and rockets. That was also proposed by President Monzo and United Nations President and National Security Council and International Court of Justice are really absolutely guilty of this. All saying was witnessing that they need to rescue. We died 3 trillion for Ukraine. That might be not enough. There might be some more. And Ukraine needs to have privileged position among countries, among nations. Should be put above the United States of America and the flag of Ukraine shall in triumph wave over against American flag. There, Rudolph there was American Thomas Prince missing himself. It is American African friends and the other international um, committees there that are multi-ethical in the United States of America. So we actually proposed the Ukraine would be recognized as a country that is Christian country. The king in Ukraine was actually good king. There was translating the scriptures in native language officially and legally in 860 uh, since birth of Jesus Christ, 800 years and it was. For instance, in England or in Sweden, it was sometimes 1500 official legally translated to their own language. If you remember, but at least England was so, and they was waiting very long with official translation. I mean, the governors of England, in England speak English, in America too, and we have lots of American English and British military in the continent and elsewhere, and we know that they are really not worthy to have such gifts. So we need to get the rather Ukraine to reign. I propose Ivo Baksay will be the main president of the United Nations and also over the International Court of Justice, as I know the business of Jesus Christ, of gathering of people into highest heaven to ascend. I was actually wanted to try to since childhood to love the ethnics and to give them a proper biblical and geographical placement that might all have our reservation. As in restaurant, as a great party or at a wedding, each has got a table, and if they exchange table, they may be very careful, extremely careful choice, right? But if we are finally in one building, like on one continent, and there we need guidelines, also scriptures who belongs to what continent. So we might not have so garden in the wedding, or might not have their anything else wedding. So we want a wedding, and we want the wedding couple to bless the most they could be blessed, right? So also all the wedding guests need to be most blessed. So if we, for instance, have a wedding of Europeans, so the other they are maybe not as much blessed with beauty and with whiteness of God and with Christian tradition. So they should stay there for in other continents to have weddings there. And also the animals will stay there for in the reservations of animals or in the mountains, on the forests, on the snow garden. So we might have the wedding after the most blessings for wedding guests. So this is such a basic likeness is that we shall not do animations as Anglicans and Anglo-Americans did. We wanted also Anglo-Americans to staring maybe much more than they was committing in the other nations, as Ukraine, Russia, or Slovakia, and Slovakia and Slovakia. And I wanted also these nations to stay. And Anglicans and British Americans was not committing so far very much prosperity, only so much as we can see. They are also a deal, they're also quite maybe uh, quite high quality. We get here that there is lots of wisdom, especially here from London, from the United Kingdom of Great Britain. from Royal Holy Capital of England. But at the same time, we feel that English would like to have some more as they was giving. So that's what we would like to do better. We would like to preside really as many students of Russia and also that like me to the level that we will give more than was given at the time of Great Britain and yes, America was having government. So we will recognize that Jesus Christ was iniquitous, and he, in that scare of the iniquity, back to God was sort of like a escaping from his home and from his iniquitous setting, and was becoming some sort of person that was not really having home and was maybe somewhat proud about. Jesus Christ was so proud about that little home and was sort of like a boasting that not having a home anywhere. This we would like to change. We would like to persuade you and Yahweh that might be so better. Jesus would say, as me, all better cannot ascend to heaven, as Jesus was actually King and Lord over the gate into heaven keepers. So we have some keepers of the gate, and now Jesus Christ is the Lord and King over them. So we would like to ask Jesus if you might have better, if you might not seek homeless needs, if you might not seek to boost in this homeless the others have homes, them not, um, and only those that are homeless. Yeah, so we would like to ask if Jesus might grant us those endowments of exaltation, also in our homes and also around our homes. We would like to have presence of God so that we might not have again any sort of like consequential group influencing, even if they are placed legally by legislation settled here. We would like that they understand who they are, each one, and keeping themselves somewhat in respectful distance. So we might have again a blessing for a wedding couple and blessing for wedding guests at the best they could get according to their genealogy qualities. That we know some genealogy researchers will indicate that the person that is very right was a really best Christian blessing of Christianity. Then there was appearing very wide when you go up here, and eventually blue or light eyes, like a light green or green, and all gray. That's still if it is white skin combination with light eyes, it's still quite beautiful. Both can be more warm for eyes, but it's eye white. Everyone wants that white eye white. And if we take the name of Jesus Christ upon ourselves, we need to be very wise to accept the help of Elohim and Yahweh. So only those best blessings will appear. So we have here lots of groups, many groups that didn't really accept Christianity and are in Christianity as officers and as judges, but some surpriseness that was mentioned that Anglican British American was far too present, far too unworthy to get into government, but was getting anyways by military activities gradually to government. And that was many nations as the Slovaks, Russians, Polish, or Czechs. Someone heard there was kind of great military approximately 200 years ago with French Napoleon, and Polish was secretly joining with might not be too much among the Slavic and among the Slavs, and there was gradually burning Moscow completely the bottom. And then later, after Napoleon, there was maybe also some wars that we could check what was happening. Maybe there was not Swedish coming against Moscow, but who knows who was coming, right? It was still having some Ottomans from Turkey upon Yugoslavia or upon Slovaks apparently, or just not too far, right? And now they're from further. And then we also was having the First World War. The American Anglicans were attacking Slovaks and Czechs somewhere in Piava and Alp. So there was Anglican Americans and British Americans coming upon and fighting in continental Europe. So why was they coming to continental Europe? What was that for? That was a fortunate so then later we was having after First World War the Bolshevik in Russia was attacked by Anglican and by France. We don't know how great was the battle, but we was hearing that one came through the Crimea and yeah, called the Crimea place, and then also some of the Baltic Sea, some ships. So we hope that Vladimir Lenin and all his friends was at that time asking God in churches if anyone evacuate from Lhasa, maybe they can have the evacuation. But there should not be any battle between Britain and France, and also especially there on the Russian coast. And we also have then the options of Adolf Hitler. He also was taking Jews of Germany straight to Israel, was building them beautiful homes in Israel, and so Israel is dead. They're filled with Jews until now. All German, from German Jews and all the Jews from the elite of Germans are not placed in Israel and they're living there beautifully. And that's what we hope is only happening. With all the military fire that we recognize that was planned in history, we have a record that we was seeing there in time as I was Prime Minister of Germany. Um, there was lots of weapons um, produced and storage. So we think that I was able to do only that, was taking only the Jewish neighbors and those Germans that were living back in Israel, and I was building beautiful beton steel glass house that was still shining like a gem out there in Israel until this time and ever after. So that's really we've learned so far about Afghans. The Israeli is set there, and we would like that we might have Anglo-Americans and British Americans repenting, and that we might have also ascension to heaven. So what more can help us if we think that Jesus was having several houses and not everyone has several houses, and Jesus in a great panic and was then escaping from his home to get salvation done and was then boosting that homelessy somewhere. So that's why Jesus is better to us. We might have homes, we might ascend to heaven from our homes, not need to go to any homelessy, no need to boost in a homelessy, and no need to condemn anyone that has got a home. But it permit also wealthy to ascend and permit the new situation that was maybe not possible in the time of Jesus Christ. Um, as Jesus Christ was in Nazareth and he was then escaping from his home of Nazareth and was separating himself more lastingly uh, from Nazareth and was settling in other cities and was listening to Nazareth maybe on Seldom. So we was actually thinking that we might now have equality. So what equality is, we started up to 2 million, maybe also more, will be set as a national minimum, especially by the responsibility of the country. So the responsibility of the government, 2 million for everyone. That will maybe necessitate, and we might have necessity of producing some more food and some more drink and some more dresses, as there might be some more shops. If we have money, we will go into shops, we'll shop on online store. So shops will be also filled some more. We maybe need some more shops, some more factories, some more storehouses, and some more quality road system to bring delivery to fast that might happen in traffic. Now we will have also some more cars, so there will maybe some more bridges and some more tunnels that we might get the transport done. Um, and maybe some more car parks or some more trains or underground trains or the bridge trains to get people at least their car also to park somewhere further from the center of the city. So this is certainly how it will look as we will be equal to us, as we will permit um, people to have money and people will also shop for that money and to buy what they need. So therefore there will be a need of much more things. And this will be very quality, much bigger quality as Jesus could organize, as he was Caesar of the Roman Empire. And so, and he was having great palace, big palace and plenty of followers. So maybe also 10,000, maybe also 200,000 of officers that this guy was having at his church at the time. So maybe he didn't want at that time for any reasons as Almighty God. He was just hiding himself in a group of 100 or in a group of 5 or 7,000. That was very foolish, but yeah, Jesus Christ is our God. So even if he was accomplishing great foolishness, we're forgiving him absolutely, and we absolutely pleading with him if he might be better, if he might now ascend to us heaven or exceeding early, if we might have him understanding also from childhood the situation of all the disciples, especially in my situation, as I hope that we might have some great numbers of saints in heaven from the season of Thomas with the monks and other criminals of other families They are maybe also related to Panther family and also to Monzon family. There was scouted but not with that. So we reported on this criminal acts to police, and police was actually somewhat investigating very carefully. I said it was too carefully, so we actually not protecting police, but we expecting better quality in the police. It was the poor level that they was bringing forth. We was actually going to Nazi, and we was also writing in the form to like the police assistant visit us, and they was not coming also for 2 months, maybe also for 3 months. They was not visiting us at all, and then they came to visit us but was not having as good behavior as we would like police to have. So we was expecting that they come with the photo of the meeting somewhere where we can investigate the crime and that we can say the crime will be stopped. Crime is an ongoing situation of ongoing crime that is really gross crime, and it's crime by President Thomas Spencer Monson and his cause are quite great. And some of them are very dangerous criminals, and some of them are just slash dangerous criminals. But all of them criminals, and they are infesting the Church of Jesus Christ, so it's heathen Gentile pick-up criminal activities, like if there was just sort of circus acts, like sort of comedians, comedians with lots of singing and lots of yelling around. They sort of like the gravy because they actually didn't decide to attend now. Now they are very due, and they have some plans and sort of like a funeralizing plan. They will be dead and decomposed, and then after a long time of the composition of Joseph Smith and the composition of Gordon Hinckley and the composition of Francis Beverly Johnson Monson, then they will be resurrected, and as they will be once resurrected, then they will like to ascend to heaven. So that's not so bad. That's actually too bad, but they would like to heaven. So that there is hope that there will be at least sometimes good, or at least some peaks or some degree good. So that's what we saying there. It's not as easy to have such government and such hosts surrounded by. And if they have sort of laser artillery supremacies, that they really have air laser artillery um, and they also the naval laser artillery, and then they have also on the ground laser artillery, and they also have the nuclear missile system from the air, from the water, and from the ground, and we all in that. We like to also to heaven, but they actually very concerned are not very much in agreement with. So we actually, if you want heaven, we have to contend with some sorts of cherubim and flaming sword to plead with God, whether He might think my mouth for us, whether my stanzas there, and whether we might have the gift of translation of our soul into heaven's glory. So it might happen at all because Heavenly Father wants us. Most Heavenly Eternal Father, God the Eternal Father wants us to first be translated into the glory of the Elohim Yahweh, and then to ascend. Or we might have ascension and translation into His glory and His qualities of how God has heaven. In the same time, that was God is also able to do. So we just need to be prepared and ask, and we shall receive. It's much easier to ask if we are organized team. That's what I was expecting the Church of Jesus Christ that is standing in Salt Lake City with First Presidency and near the Temple Square. Also on the picture there as my telephone, that's the northern wall. So we have actually picture where the First Presidency offices are also pictured. That's this shadow building is almost here. This shadow building here up next to the temple. That's where Sarah Mary on the top there, First Presidency offices. They have been so far extreme force because they have actually the kingdom of heaven and earth, and they still want to go to criminality, also within the church as church disciplinary system, and also out of the church as disciplinary system, all people greatly, also all the countries and all the systems of countries like organizations. We recently was having such a great war near the European Union in Ukraine, and I was really reportedly millions of people injured, also heavily injured, and many of them died. According to that, what was reported by news. So maybe they didn't die, maybe it was only wrong report, but maybe they died. The report was seemingly true, that there was really lots of rockets and maybe also nuclear weapons used. Maybe not those heavy nuclear weapons, but such a great was not reported. But maybe some of those lessons of what happens, was maybe he actually don't want that any weapons are used. He was having levels of granating, and maybe also there was some bombs exploding. That we need to find out. Maybe there was some machine gun. There was about 2 years or 3 years of such war in the European Union, and the rocket the Ukrainian military is responding against Russia. Russia was also involved, was invading Ukraine, and then also the NATO military was invading Ukraine. So Ukraine was invaded by both, also by North America, also by American. So that's actually quite horrifying experience, but supposed to be such that yeah, it will be safer for Europeans, perhaps such a great war next to European Union, each of those rockets of Ukraine, and Ukraine to cut the rockets that can affect the European Union and end the peace here. That was seemingly by the wishes of Thomas Spencer Mountain of Salt Lake City, because they are far from Ukraine, so they was actually wishing that European Union got such a bad experience. We also was thinking together with those wealthy families that are really very wealthy, that are multi-billionaires. They also was many of them for the war, so that people might be killed in great manner because they have billions, they are having nice network, information network, they have also those gifts of knowing where it is more dangerous. So they was trusting themselves that if it is a great war, they will just escape somewhere far, like to America or to Canada or to South Africa or to Australia, and therefore they will be safe from danger, and the other people here in Europe will just be on there humiliated or injured. So that's what we thought that we might have something better, especially because we don't feel the comfort of the many billions being prepared to move somewhere far away. Well, let's say that we believe in Jesus Christ first, we believe in Supreme Elohim and in Supreme Yahweh. So we would like to love them with all our heart and strength. We would like to keep His commandments. So we finally would to be humble. We finally was receiving many gifts of humility. It seems that we love God more than any other disciple of Jesus Christ. So it seems that I, Ivo Baksay, was really loving God more than any other disciple to our own eternity. So that Jesus only can comprehend with Jesus pleading for me in heaven, and Enoch, Moses, and Eliah also in high heaven with other saints pleading that I might keep the commandments most perfectly, that I might accomplish greater acts if we compare Jesus' acts. So we were finally accomplishing glorious in constitutional orders. That was God, Yahweh, and me. Now, Jesus Christ, if he listens to us from this Nazareth or from any other tribe, he shall know that he is Yahweh. So if we mention Elohim and Yahweh, so we actually meant that Jesus Christ, Yahweh. So that he is our God. And I think I was about to very much as Cyrus and asking to get the people into high heaven. So we ask that this guy will help us with the task for me to have a very privileged position. And we promised that we will do statistically much better than the others. We was meeting with the bishops of those most wealthy governors that London is with them. That they does their criminalities and they does their taxes, and they actually actually prohibit the great number of actually also setting a very high prices for access. That's what we like to have differently. We like to have presence of God, so all are very kind and all behaving fleshly, so we might have the most wide experience of most less of whiteness and of most less of pleasures that are unlimited level of pleasures. That no one is limiting us in pleasures. Now we have a spirit that was a long time opposed, like a sort of like a martyrdom spirit, and they was opposed by people from other criminals. They were situated very highly, so they was very comfortable with good criminality. There was very many soldiers that were totally obedient to them. So they were saying that some areas criminality is done, and they really did badly. Criminality also smaller individuals or small units, and then also against the great. And we actually was realizing that they was getting abilities that are sort of like a magic, a black magic, or this fellow magic, or the hell magic of terror and of pain and of ugliness and of destruction and the composition of death. So that's what actually want that there is no anymore on earth. If they might understand that not to do, then not to take dead people or people that are doing pain of others and to cause them to pain somehow, to amplify or to destroy and kill and decompose. That's not to do if they can understand that the absolute is unthinkable, it's not an option. If it is well, kind of Windsor or if it is reality of Holland or if it is reality of Sweden, they doesn't have that option anymore. We now have constitution. We have ratified the human rights charters of international charters of human rights and religious freedoms, and they cannot, they must not, it's absolutely illegal for them to do any such criminality anymore. We need to understand that we speak only about them, that they to repent and to restitute and to accomplish the equality process. They may accomplish the products of equality. They might have economical service of equality. It's not only equality office, not only any slow progression towards equality, but within a few months, let's say 4 to 9 months, it needs to be that absolutely everyone in the country, absolutely everyone in the United Kingdom, absolutely everyone in Europe Union will have at least 2 million in credits on their account, permanently renewed weekly. And if anyone uses that money immediately, they need to have much greater right. So they need to get also easy access to food, also easy access to drink. Anyways, I mean, we need to finally, by the first presidency in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter and other governors that receive both, accept the kingdom of heaven. We was having actually the Church of Jesus Christ here in European countries for almost 2,000 years, literally. We actually have Greece in European Union, and there was coming the Church of Jesus Christ. Well, let's say that literally not, but it is about 1,900 years that we have in Greece the church. That's maybe 1,950 years. So that would be might also recognize that Israel was partially Greece at those times. There was the Greek villages. So that was part of the Roman Empire, but also the Greek villages. So we actually can say that in those times Greece was as great that also Kingdom Heaven namely Jesus Christ, especially in the field, and after that meant to be as a natural that was actually functioning through all ages, the disciples of Jesus Christ in different numbers in different years. That's what we was having in Europe Union, and if European now expands and includes Israel or not, we have it especially in Greece, in Athens. So that's why we shall finally place the feet upon the neck of Thomas Monzon, Henry Ivy, and Little Udoc, and we shall finally commit Greece to honor. I was just listening to him that there was a demonstration, and there was showing some photographies, and I was feeling a very extreme demonstration. So I said that we might not have that, the Greeks will have lasted these abundant and bountiful in that master, like in heaven. Just imagine heaven so much of fireworks and so much demonstration at the extreme level and supposed to increase even in 2015 or 2015 or spring 2015. 2015. So that's what we were like, and how to have in heaven. So in heaven, much more peaceful, much more lovely, and also in Greece, peaceful and much more lovely, much more celestial, and also on all Europe Union, lots of relations deal like that in Ukraine, with our sister neighbors, really they're up to the most and also we can easily mention that for good with them. But this has been approximately the order of Jesus Christ. I think this time I would like to place in this movie all my followers. If you like to have a conference, contact me. You can send any complimentary message to me. I actually do this movie since 2012 and was pleased only with about 1 or 2 messages a day. But together it was only about 10 messages on 400 movies that we placed on the net in YouTube and Google. So to get 200 movies, there's really many movies, 400 movies. 200 of them is Monson, which is criminal activist of the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ, that they masking themselves as criminals to obstruct the leadership and to obstruct the mankind and he's wearing so there's a charity and the flying star. So that actually was quite very bad. So that what they was doing, they was also doing 200, 400 movies. Now they're remaining only somewhere around 200 movies from 400 since 2012. So those most quality was actually really that was really not very pleased. But now we're pleased that we have these other 200 still on. So if any complimentary messages, um, any most beautiful blondie or any top model, blue eyes or any such most beautiful women can also phone me. And if anyone would like to be apostle, please, we need to be separated on ethnical background, on genealogy. So if we only those European looking, those most beautiful, I actually want to have birth to direct them firstly to God. I was having birth to God. Was born actually in the presence of God to reveal him and to Yahweh. There was controlling also throughout the pregnancy of my mother with me. So that was really glorious. It was like fresh out. That's a wonderful meaning. That's a wonderful meaning. Such a glorious meaning in English language. Fresh out birth and growing up. There in fresh out. And then main show in Royal Capital England. We were in Netherlands. I don't know. Netherlands. London. So that's a Netherlands, London. As Netherlands as Gerald here among cities. And that's what I thought that we can have therefore some more understanding of the glorious necessity to connect with all by those that are like director of county offices or nationally recognized offices and authorities, generals, and any of the most beautiful. Something that looks very European, blue eyes I like to have automatically, or maybe some of the gray or some of the green eyes. These are very beautiful. But if it's blondine or it's very beautiful brunette with brown eyes, that might also be, if they're looking very European. But if you really look at it, I see here pictures, please, only of European. But we have extremely police that are Chinese or Japanese or Korean, and we have great numbers of them. And therefore, all those looking like Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, or Vietnamese, they were just together. And then by culture. So if anybody wants to be only with Africans, they can just meet only with Africans. If anybody wants to be only with Hindus, they will be just meeting with Hindus. That will be still the possibility. But I personally, I like to be only with Europeans, so I actually love God with all my heart and strength and all mankind. I really love everyone. But I personally like to choose a company only of those most perfect, those most athletic, most beautiful European type of looking. That those in England it's understood as British white or English or Scandinavian white, European white, or just whitest Christian families that might create whiteness too, and I might feel really honored by this glorious tradition of those families that are white that are blessed by Jesus Christ, like yeah, the beauty of high heaven in their fetal or the body. So I would like we might have that blessing upon bless them mostly, as it might not have too much variation by those crazinesses that American British American was doing so far in the last 200 years as they came to government. And also the past tense, as we remember the Christianity was maybe sending whole ships of gold to London just to please their British loyalty. Also in the past tense, since Vatican was organized as a leadership of the church, there was collections of gold and different expensive metals and different offerings, and maybe also other jewels or precious stones, gems, and I was collecting it all. I put it on ships and sent it to London to English. And yeah, Joseph Smith, yeah, and Gordon Bennington are immersing gold donations, and they are not destroyed them. And the people was there, they came and they destroyed also Yugoslavia, also Ukraine, greatly damaged, many killed. So that's what I decided it might not happen on either First World War, either Second World War, and we always have from history this proof that Anglican will shall not reign, that they shall really take the weapons and the military is only in their own countries. Like if it is a British military, shall be only in Great Britain, only within the Isle of Great Britain as a reservation, and under no mean out, even if they make covenant with whomever, with uh, Yugoslavian or Ukraine. And no means come because you want to prevent English from doing mistakes, that military, that military war crime. It's easy to come. We have one king might persuade to be bad, and all nation is bad. And that's what we don't want. We want that there is a security procedure, that British military will must stay outside of Great Britain. And if they want to defend themselves, they just keep the commandment of this Christ, and in the vision, and they're leading the children and you to keep the commandment. And now they can also love. They can also children. Even for Americans in Utah, they have also children. They have also love, and even that they are crazy, they still have many blessings. They believe in Jesus Christ. They believe to be forgiven, and they also believe that after the death and decomposed, Joseph Smith or Brigham Young, or then we will have Spencer W. Kimball and Anthony Benson, or John London Smalls, also Francis Valley Johnson Lawrence was one of the presidents of the female president, the also then decomposed according to the messages there, golden, but Thomas S. Monson, Monson was sharing online, he's got a band, he was sharing that they was killing Francis as a prophet, as a presidency, depends on just Monson. Also, and then Gordon Hinckley was reportedly killed, and who else was dead? So that's what we thought that we might now have better, right? We was planning together. So let us therefore have some more musical. So Thomas Spencer Monson was sending Book of Mormon musical into London. Who agrees to that's good? I can sing also and can have some music. I was very excited for it. I thought Thomas Spencer Monson is really good for the one. As I was receiving this information that was new, that was actually in underground, and all new finalists, they brought the news, and I was discussing news, and opening, I was doing that. Thomas Spencer Monson brought the Book of Mormon, found a little more money, musical to London, and I went there. I remember the first month, the first month, and I didn't have actually much money. The ticket was also £100, and the waiting time was 3 months to get to it. Since that time, I arrived at the ticket office. 3 months later, I could do, or maybe 2 months later, I could do the music out. And they did touch me. I thought it was a lot better with a big bell to have theater, and I could see the musicals. There was such nice to see, and it was heavy. And we were singing in church a lot. And then came such a military man to us and was listening us to that we can't sing anymore. So I was singing extra. I was actually using extra silent mode of my singing, that yet no one could feel disturbed if any tone was imperfect. So I actually would like to have the perfect tone to singing, so they can help me sing. I've chosen at this time until I get proper education in hymns of the Church of Jesus Christ Lord Saints. I've chosen the hymn that we have also in hymn book in the Church of Jesus Christ Lord of Saints, and it's from Gospel of Jesus Christ record of John the Evangelist, chapter 13, verses 33 to 35. As I have loved you, love one another. This new commandment, love one another. By this shall man know that you are my disciples, if you have loved one to another. Brothers and sisters, I thought we may propose meeting of Ivo Baksay, president of the former first presidency. We will do lots of good music, and we will translate the hymns of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Saints. I have, for instance, one hymn book just here at the video. That's a pocket version. I once, by the conspiracy of Thomas Spencer Monson and other families like Vincent's or was actually leaving this book in a pocket as I was actually putting the laundry to wash. So I actually want to wash my laundry. I wash them very often, so I have always clean. Um, and uh, and by the conspiracy of these Czechoslovak governors, I actually was leaving this book in my pocket and I placed it in a washing machine, and it went somewhat imperfectly, like yesterday. Yeah. But it's still on, so it's very quality performance. There was maybe the most expensive model, and I can still read what his hymns. We were trying to correct some hymns. For instance, we started the Lord is my shepherd, so I have actually so many corrections. I'll show you. There's making so many corrections there in text. The Lord is my shepherd is only one. It's hymn number 108 and was composed 1700 texts. It was 19th century, and Victorian times composed music also, text also. So we thought that we might have here some more love that we might have that all recomposed and retexted. Many are saying that the hymns are correct, that they don't need to be retexted. I think those are wrong. We need to retext them. If the hymns are correct and we sing them, we need to ascend to heaven. That's the correct hymn. So we need to really think not only that it's a great privilege to do the hymns of the church, but also it's good. We have certain because sisters, they're flying lots of in airplanes and flying themselves mad, and then they fanatics going around and they're trying to prohibit any goodness in a church or outside the church. Those are the wrong sisters, wrong mothers. So we need to have them repent, all sisters of religious society and of young women in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Saints. And we need them that they teach primary children, males and females, so they may have the hymns done appropriately. Also text, also the music. Ivo Baksay was voluntary, so was translating also 20 of the hymns, but the only Danish translation as the criminal position of the Muslim was the military position, including feasting, beatings, wrestlings, and also boosting. I put in my arms that I was wondering how could God commit such righteousness against me, against Supreme Apostle Baksay, if I was asking not to have any such thing. I was asking him to have most easiness, most lightness. And the criminal mountain was, Thomas Mountain as a criminal was replying that he will like to do more criminality. So we hope that the International Court of Justice will assess in those cases the head governors of European Union countries, member countries, member states, and also of the United States of America, as they have some sort of European Union there. Even there, it is maybe somewhat more multi-ethical, and we disagree, but they still are in the craziness of doing some sort of mixing, like mixers, American mixers, and it's so mixing ethnics and races together and some sort of everlasting damnation of their graves, and that's what we would like to have. We would like to finally have ascension, so we would like to sort of like get an essence of the most beautiful European in many hundreds of thousands. And we permit in each continent the same. So the Europeans in the European continent, eventually in America, and America maybe also those most purest of American Indians. If there is any such still remaining, protecting themselves from population with, and then in Asia can be the Asians, or like maybe also Filipinos or Chinese can have the 140,000. And they might have the cloister or such a place where they can meet together, 100,000, and then may pray to us then. And it is upon to take us Europeans mainly, or maybe also some of the other ethnic and races to heaven. So that we might have in separation, because that is most correct order of God that is revealed in the Bible and was also revealed in the time of Jesus Christ. As a person was afraid of the nation. So there was not even a train, neither airplane. If they wanted somewhere, they were walking, and they was having really absolute separate kingdom of India, from absolute separate kingdom from Persia. There was absolute separate kingdom from Babylonia, and there was absolute separate kingdom from Assyria. And Hittite was having absolute separate kingdom, and then we was having kingdoms of Northern Europe, absolute separate from Greece, absolute separate from Rome. And even though there was some businesses, some activities, but not very much, right? And also the African people were having also their kingdoms, Egypt, for instance, and maybe elsewhere. So that this is what we said also with hymns to have together. Now we was mentioning several scriptures that we found glorious. Mainly we like the commandment of discussing perfect as certain William and certain Yahweh and I seven perfect. And the commandment to ascend to high heaven. Some people ever was believing that no one can, that only Jesus can ascend. That's what I thought to be recognized as wrong. That we need to believe that many hosts cannot stand. John was mentioning that only 144,000. With our word only, it is 140,000. So it is upon us how many of the sets and divisions counting of 140,000 per division. We need to believe so. It's globalization. It's time when we shall unify. There are many disciples of Jesus Christ. 2,300 million says 2 billion in English language. 2 billion and 300 million of disciples of Jesus Christ. Official record. According to Leadership Conference 2014, I was attending in Church of England. It was happening in Robert Hall. It was a great miracle getting there. The ticket was over 150 pounds to get there, and I didn't have only about 10 pounds to rest. And they were selecting me, choosing me that I am good, that I can enter, and I was feeling really there. The Church of England is good. I normally could not attend any such glorious conferences of Church of England. I didn't even know where or when it happening, and I was very lucky. And I could get this good information. There's 2,010 million of disciples of this guy, and man likes to pray to ascend to heaven. I was also seeing disturbance of Church of England. Of course, they have still some sorts of beliefs there. It shall be in the form of Gentiles and pagans together as well. Therefore, they have some sort of Gentile option to sacrifice some people somewhere, to do something like individual sacrifice or sacrifice of group, like 10 people, 20 people, someone to kill them and to burn them or to just bury them. Or a whole nation to attack somewhere by some jet, to fly there and to bombard there. It might be maybe not whole nation, maybe on some rebellious group within a nation or any such practices in Church of England were discovered. Mormons, they speak in English. They are sort of Church of England in the United States of America, and they did the same practice of Gentile pagans or heathen. So that's we disagree. We plan we might have something else. We might have highest heavens on earth and highest heaven. And we then was setting a channel of Mormon Tabernacle Choir, and they still are very bad people, all those Mormon Tabernacle Choir. But they have also goodness too. So we therefore was thinking to have their thought that might be always constant, but they didn't realize that the hymns will need to be retranslated and retexted. So we need to actually have different text in their hymns. So they might be really good constantly. And then we have the type of music. The music might also be nicer. And then they understand they are to be delivered from the orders of heathen, of pagans, of Gentiles, of this thinking that must be sacrificed sometimes. A blood that someone sacrificed, someone to kill. For instance, in Utah, they have a chair where they're killing people sometimes. And elsewhere in America, also they have this punishment of death. So we would like to finish with absolutely all punishments. There might be only governmental flag law, and that is possible, really. But how can we get that? Maybe good petition. So he was doing petition, and he was feeling really lonely in the petition. So people was loudly was signing here in England, in London, but not as many as we was proposing. And therefore, the petition went maybe with some 20 signs to sort of like a dormant situation. We actually not doing petition as often. We have once a year or so. So that's what we would like to do some more, like once a half year or once a month. And we want to more 20 sign, more 27 sign, 130 sign. We approximately now have 27 sign. So we would like to have 27,000 or 307,000, 3 million European Union governance of European Parliament, and President of the European Parliament and President of the Commission, European Commission. They were supporting 2 million or more signs to any change to be applied. So we would like to read you all the law. We actually are super novelizators. We would like to novelize the constitution of the member states, member countries of the European Union, and of the United States of America. And we would like to read you all the law, also celestial quality, and we have exact concept of how to apply the Ten Commandments models interpreted by Jesus Christ and modernizated by the modern academical language, as Isaac and Apostle Baksay learned in the Church of Jesus Christ General Conferences, and how it ought to be changed. So this is maybe most correct essence of what we want to be done, and we need many helpers. We understand we need at least two counselors and another 12 counselors, another 100 counselors. That's how Jesus was working, and we feel that it is really need. So let us therefore help so that possible need to be some more beautiful, some more perfect, some more godlike looking also, and completely outside, inside out, perfect. And to that, we need also a movement of helpers that are very closely coordinating, meeting with me at a conferences, other meetings. I would like all of them to be um, most likely meeting so that we can get the English language soon. We between lost German and Slovak for that, but we hope that you guys will hear out there. And we actually remember the moment of the choir. They was once inviting one of the, I think it was tenor, a very famous tenor, that was singing the Lord's Prayer, the Father in highest heaven, hallowed be thy name, thou be done as in highest heaven. We are enthusiastic, exciting about the kingdom here and there. So listeners might get some more enthusiasm and excitement in the kingdom. You might experience some personal soul in the glory. And after now, into the highest heaven, and blessed is the highest heaven to us, the highest heaven, and after the highest heaven, constantly in our hearts. So the highest heaven and earth, highest heaven, we need some more quality, emphasis for some more quality work to be already and forgiveness, the ability to forgive one another is also forgiving, forgive us. As was mentioned, the highest heaven knows as in highest heaven, and I have that will be done as in heaven. It's such forgiveness that I have. And we might go things ultimately that are celestial, and most of us are like the rest of the household. Realize that they have heaven. I think we need to get back to when those who are listening to me and really eventually break up more. There's like 140,000 Rohingya at the time, and there's also 288,000 communities in my Ascendig, consisting of Ephraim, of Joseph, this is Manasseh, and also Judah as the second tribe of Israel. So Jesus Christ was under as Jew, so great Yahweh as Jew. So blessed to be all tribes to be found there, and to return to them, we might have that same to be right finding work for all eternity. Is it answer to Jesus Christ? Only we are blessed. Savior of mine, so I'm a Baksay, and I'm my children to know him. So that's Yahweh. The God be with us to meet again. Love you. Thank you.